joining us. Welcome to Beyond the Scare. I'm one of your hosts, Danny Royce. I'm joined by my bro. What's up, Pauly?
Going on.
And today we have a great episode for you. I thank you again for tuning in with us and joining your favorite scare experts as we talk about all things horror. Happy Friday the 13th.
Woo!
Woo! Uh-oh, I can feel it in the air already.
Oh, it's there. It's there.
Like I said, we have a great special segment for you today. What we got going on?
Yes, sir. Happy Friday 13th, everyone. So, yes, today we'll be counting down our favorite kills in the Friday the 13th franchise. All right.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
How excited are you, Danny?
I'm really excited because, as y'all know, this is my favorite horror franchise. Jason has the most kills out of all slashers, and I'm excited to get into it and talk about some of our favorites.
Yeah, exactly. This franchise is definitely in my top three as well. So as we know, most deaths in the franchise were caused by Jason. However, we also have Ms. Voorhees, Roy, and several other, I guess you would say Jason possessed individuals in Jason Goes to Hell. I don't know about you, Danny, but I feel like the deaths definitely got gnarlier or more brutal as the franchise progressed.
Oh yeah.
As from I would say the kills were a little bit more simple, and I guess like less, gruesome. But as
Yeah.
the franchise progressed, it definitely got a little more intense. Um, so from that moment on, we see like more Jason's brute strength, his creativity, his diversity. We talked about this in a past episode. Jason will pretty much use anything as a weapon.
Oh yeah.
He can. So,
Oh yeah.
um, like later
Very
in this,
ingenuity.
yeah, exactly. Later in the series, you didn't know, how Jason was going to kill. He'd be walking around with his machete, but odds are he's not going to use it. He's going to use the environment or something else. He's like, oh, that looks nice. Try that. So basically, we're going to discuss our favorite kills, our top three kills, and in the franchise, and our ranking is going to be based on style, creativeness, definiteness, and most important, memorableness. All right.
Yes,
So
very much so.
for our viewers out there, I'm pretty sure if you're a fan of the franchise, you will remember some of these deals we will discuss. So I'm going to let Danny take it away and tell us about his third pick.
Yes. So, as you know, there's so many to choose from. So, memorableness definitely was a big one for me. Creativeness, Jason kills in every aspect. So, I lean more into those to kind of pick my three. So, I'm going to start with my third one. And so, my third one is from part three when Rick got his head squished. Okay, so the character Rick was chilling, minding his own business, like they all are, right? And he just happens to be a teenager and a counselor in the wrong place, wrong time. And so Jason comes up behind him and starts squeezing his head so tight and so hard that his eyes pop out. Now, this was very memorable for me because I'm a little kid at this point. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. And it just shows the brute force of Jason and his superhuman strength that is unmatched. It's crazy. I'll get to the other kills, but like, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I chose this as my third one. And the I want to say the effects too for that time were great. You had the head getting smushed and the eyes popping out and the little blood spurting. As you said, it was simple, but it went so far.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good pick. And as you very well may know, that's like one that became one of Jason's like signature moves. We've seen it
Oh yeah.
multiple times down the line in the franchise. I believe it
Hmm.
was part six and in part seven it was done, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
And they were
So
each different too.
yeah,
They were each
yeah.
different.
Like so,
Like
for example,
squeeze a little tight, squeeze too much tight.
like you said, for example, with Rick, like the eyes popped out. I don't think that happened in when it happened in part six, but yeah,
No.
that's a definitely good pick.
So what's
All
your third one?
right. So my third again. So me and Danny definitely, when just making our picks, for us, like we didn't really even have it wasn't really a question because for us it's memorableness, like those kills that stand out and that we'll always remember. Um, so my third pick was from Jason Takes Manhattan when it was a boxer. So he was in a sauna room and he was laying down. The towel was over his face. Jason just walking the cruise ship. He stumbles on this boxer and he's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" He's minding his own business. I am a film. So he grabs one of the hot coals and he basically smashes it in his chest. And then you see, the boxer just like squirm in his body, and you hear like the sizzling of the skin and everything. And it was pretty pretty brutal. So that's
Yeah,
pretty much why I picked that particular kill for my third choice because it was brutal. I feel like it was in very Jason fashion to just come
yeah.
across someone and be like, all right, I'm gonna kill you, you know? And just him look using like his environment to do it. So that's why I picked that.
Right. Yeah, yeah, he's always using anything and everything. That was a good kill. And yeah, I definitely remember that one. Manhattan will make another appearance on this list. I want to get into the second kill, our number two picks. This was a hard one for me because I felt like it's so iconic. And it was just I was struggling between one and two, but I want to talk about Judy and the New Blood, part seven. So the
Yep.
sleeping bag.
Uh-huh.
So this one was just iconic because you get the whole scene of like camp, Crystal Lake, that type of thing. Drug, sex, and alcohol, Jason does not like.
All
So,
right.
so if you're taking part of any of that, you're probably gonna die that night. So Judy's here, she's sleeping in bed. That was just after they had sex, I believe, yeah.
Yep.
And they were just, chilling. Zips her up in that sleeping bag, in a yellow sleeping bag, and just boom, right against the tree. And just the whole time, you're just cringing because it's like, I don't know, something about not being able to see anything.
Mhm.
You're imagining yourself in that bag, not being able to see anything, just getting brutally beat against whatever. And then that's it. So it's like just the whole forcefulness, again, showing Jason's strength. And it's a simple kill, but once you put yourself in the shoes of that victim, it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's horrible. Um, and so it also appeared again, right? The whole kind of Sleeping Bag-esque, and then
Yeah.
remake in
Right.
2009, but he hung her over the
Fire.
campfire, which was
Yep.
kind of crazy too.
Yeah, I would argue that was worse because she's like burning to death and suffocating,
Right,
right? You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
But
so yeah, that's what I was saying. It's kind of, it was kind of hard for me, but I had to go with Judy just because it's a classic. You
no,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
I agree with that. I think that's an excellent pick. Judy's death is one of those that stand out to me as well. And it's just like like you were saying, the entire scene, but also just like how Jason goes about doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Slice and open the tent.
yeah,
Her like immediately wanting to protect herself, so she dives in the sleeping bag, knowing that there's no escaping. Like, why are you doing that?
right.
So he grabs the sleeping bag, then he's just like dragging her through the grass and the mud and stuff, and then one hit and she's gone. So
That's it. That's
yeah, that's a good one.
that's
Definitely
such a
memorable.
builder.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I like it. And when we talk about our number ones, like my number one has more to do with build up than anything else.
Yeah,
Obviously, it's memorable too. But I'm glad you said that because we're gonna revisit that.
yeah,
So I'm gonna go to my second one. So my second one is probably more brutal than anything. And it's from Jason Lives, which is Friday 13 Part 6, and it's Nikki. So for those of you who have not seen this one or just need a refresher, so Nikki was dating Corey, and they took out like her dad's RV or something like that. And she had went to the bathroom in there, and Corey had turned on the music, and he's just jamming and rocking, but Jason is in there, right? So he
hmm
grabs her in the bathroom. They start struggling. She put up a good fight. She was kind of kicking and screaming a little bit and stuff. Well, ultimately, Jason takes her face and just smashes it in the side of the RV, and you see the imprint on the
Yeah.
outside of it, and it's just like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just see that, you're like, oh my god, like it's just like, again, it's just Jason's brute force and just like his like him not giving a f. You know what I mean? It's just like, and then like just it makes you hurt almost like just seeing that
Yeah.
happen, and just seeing like, wow, like that really just happened.
Yeah.
So that's why it's my number two, because you know, again, the scene, the whole setup, her struggling, her boyfriend like just like rocking out, not knowing what's going on, and then Jason ultimately just like, all right, I'm gonna smash your head on the side of the RV. You know what I mean? And
Right.
then I think the most memorable part is the imprint that it caused
Yeah.
when
The
you see
imprint.
that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it shows how much force was behind it.
Right.
Um, Jason's like he's perfect like right in the middle as far as kills. He's not so drawn out like Art the Clown, where it takes forever for someone to die.
Just evil.
And he's not as quick as like we mentioned in Fear Street, where it's like, oh my God, you're dead.
Right.
So it's like right in the middle. It's
Mm-hmm.
just
It's
enough
a
to give you like, a
it's
little
a good
build up,
balance.
anticipation,
Yeah.
some balance, exactly. So that's why, yeah, Jason will always be. Um,
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
um, but now it's time to get to our number, or our memorable, honorable mention,
Yep.
right?
Yep. So we're gonna.
Before we get to our number one picks,
Yeah.
let's talk about our honorable mention. You want to lead us into that one?
Yeah. So me and Danny, we actually picked the same one, twice actually. But this
Yeah,
one we agreed on should be our honorable mention because it didn't quite make our top three, but we think it's definitely
right.
memorable, creative, and just straight up like gruesome. Um, so I would say it comes from the kill happens on Jason X,
Jason next, yeah.
and it is when he killed Adrian. All right. And I'm gonna let Danny tell us about how he actually killed Adrian.
Yeah, so Adrian was in the room. So there was some liquid nitrogen.
Again, mind your
Um,
business.
just mind our business as always. And this liquid nitrogen is in this like tub sink area. And so he grabs by the head, dumps the head in the liquid nitrogen, and then shatters it
Yeah.
on the towel desk. And so when I first saw it, my immediate reaction was like, damn, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then it's funny the kind of the comic aspect of it. I was like, how did Jason know liquid nitrogen would do that? Like, how did he know? How do you Jason is smart and intuitive, okay? Okay.
Jason knows stuff that like a person that drowned and been under wraps for years and dead most of the
Right.
time shouldn't know.
I said no. I'm like, how you know liquid nitrogen does all that? But again, it showed the creativity. Even if he didn't know what it would do, he's like, oh, some
Right.
water, maybe it's hot. Or I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe he tried drowning at first, and he was like, oh, it's frozen now, and it just cracks. So like but I thought it was done well as well. If you want to talk about the props and the cinematography aspect of it, the way the face that head just shattered, it was great. It was little
Yeah.
pieces, little chunks of meat, little chunks of brain. Like it was wild. It
Yeah,
was wild.
it was wild, and like it just, I mean, it's one of those kills that happen fairly quickly, but the
Yeah,
effectiveness is so great that it's just like,
right.
you know what I mean? Um, and yeah, so I mean, like you said, I know we don't know if Jason in fact knew that that would happen. Who knows? He might have been in that room before watching somebody like he does, because he's a
Right.
creep,
Who knows?
and and then saw it happen or something. So, yeah, when her head got frozen, he just smashes it, and then like he just goes about his business. You know what I mean? It's just,
Right.
it's just in true Jason fashion. But yeah,
It's true Jason fashion. And I love
um,
how they showed the face too, how she's
yeah,
screaming and all of a sudden it's just,
yeah.
you
All of a
know.
sudden, it just freezes. Yeah, yeah. I think that's again why I think it's one of the, like, it deserved to be an honorable mention for sure.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right,
Uh,
Danny, let's get down to the number one pick, the
Number
most
one.
memorable of the entire Friday the 13th franchise. So this, folks, says a lot, right? This is our number one pick. And there are how many movies total? Well, 13 plus the
Well,
reboot? Well,
yeah, plus a
yeah.
reboot.
So out of all of them,
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be our number one picks. Danny, take it away.
Oh man, as you know, this was hard for me because my favorite franchise. However, this stood out to me the most, just because it's like, what the hell? So we're talking about it's from Friday the 13th, Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan, and it's Julius.
Take your best shot.
So it's such a funny, it's a comical one too, but it's also a great build up. You got Julius, Bob trying to just take Jason down with these hands, he throwing bows, and Jason's just like, what? And he's like, my turn. Boom. And he's like, he literally was like, my turn. And he uppercut and decapitated Julius's head. I always see is it flying off. I chose it because I wanted the build up. Like I said, it was like literally someone trying to fight Jason. That really happened. Someone trying to hand fist, fight Jason.
Oh,
So that was funny. And then just the brute force and strength, like I said, superhuman strength to just literally decapitate someone just by punching them is insane. You think about the vertebrae breaking, you think about the neck, you think about the skin, everything just being
yeah.
torn and ripped off just by a punch, an uppercut. So yeah, that's what, and it was so memorable too. Like to this day, I'll always remember that. I mean, that movie in
Hands
general, the
down.
eighth one,
Yeah.
the eighth one is so memorable. In general, it's one of my top, top three, if not top two favorite in the franchise. So I just had to choose that. That
Yeah.
was definitely my number one pick.
Definitely. And yeah, I the the thing about it is like you're right. Like I feel like they covered so much in that one kill. Like it was funny, it
Yeah,
was brutal, it
right.
was freaking like just like the his head and everything because you saw it right. Just like the
Yeah,
props, like you were saying, everything was just like crazy and tremendously done. But like what got me is this like, Julius doing his thing and stuff, and he put in some good punches. Jason staggered a little bit, right? So,
yeah,
Julius had some power behind him. And I think Jason respected that
right.
because, you saw Jason, he was just like, okay, he let him do his thing. But then when Julius was tired and he knew that was it, Jason gave him a second. He was like, what's about to happen, right? And then he just uppercutted him. Like if you like literally if you just because obviously Jason doesn't speak, right?
Right,
You can see what's going through his head and know what if he was speaking. Like that's what he was
right,
saying. And yeah, it was brutal. That's definitely a memorable one.
right.
So I think that's a good for a number one pick.
Yeah, yeah, that was great.
Definitely
What's
good.
your member? What's your number one? Uh-oh.
All right, all right, all right. And the funny thing is, I actually mentioned this in a previous episode. My number one pick is from New Blood, um, which is also one of my favorite movies in the franchise, and it is when Jason kills Maddie. Um,
Mm,
Now, for those of you that don't remember, Maddie, she was kind of like the geeky one. She had the glasses and everything. And then when she did like a makeover, she went after this guy that she liked. Ultimately, it didn't work out. She ended up alone in the forest. And obviously, she met up with Jason, right? So for me, this kill was um, most memorable for me is because like we were talking about the buildup. You know what I mean? It was a chase scene, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like
right.
she ran through the forest, but she ended up in this like shed. And most of it took place just in that shed. Minimal movement by both her and Jason, but it was still had you on the edge of your seat because you didn't know what the heck was gonna happen. And
Yeah.
she took off her heels. She started going underneath back and forth, trying to outsmart Jason, but you can't outsmart Jason. You
Right.
know what I mean? So and ultimately, she's standing there just like scared to death. Jason punches through this like plank or whatever, grabs her so she can't move. Then he punches through the other one with a scythe, and then he just like cuts her. They actually don't show the death, but obviously you know how she dies. And I feel like this was most memorable for me because everything about it, like the running through the forest, the hiding in the shed, Jason coming in the shed, the camera angle. Danny, I don't know if you remember the camera angle, but like I know you would appreciate it and everything. Like the camera angle, like them looking straight forward, you see her on the side, and you just see the background Jason.
Yeah.
He's like blurry, but you can still see him.
Mhm.
It's just like I feel like that scene was like probably one of the best kill scenes shot in that movie, and it's memorable, and that's why I picked it for number one.
Yeah. No, I definitely appreciate that scene. That was actually definitely, excuse me, in my top picks of the franchise too. Just that that film. Um and I remember her running and going under, and like it was something about the whole scene that was like it's nostalgic for me because I remember just like rooting for her. We were all rooting for you, and and just knowing that she's gonna get it eventually, but when and how. But she put up a nice little cat and mouse run, and I appreciate that because I think Jason, he likes a little challenge. You know what I mean? He doesn't because he appreciates a little challenge, like you said with Julius. Like he's like, okay, this one's deserves a kill. You know what I mean? As opposed to me just coming up and killing them. Like so, yeah, that was a very good choice. I do remember that, you know, verbatim the whole scene, and I remember the camera, and I remember the cinematography, and it was great.
Those are our what top three plus our
Top
honorable
three
mention
and an honorable mention.
in the franchise, celebrating Friday the 13th. Everybody,
Yeah,
all right.
happy Friday the 13th. I think I'm
So
gonna have a marathon.
there you go. I was just gonna say that. I was like, everybody go out, get sit down, get comfortable, watch yourself some Friday the 13th. You got a lot of
Yeah,
them. You know what I mean? And now you can look, if you haven't seen these particular kills that we talked about, you can watch them and be like, oh wow, that was, maybe it'll become your favorite. Who knows?
you never know. And then it's, we got like a kind of a Halloween before Halloween type of, you know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly.
Well, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us here on Friday the 13th. And I hope you have an amazing Friday. And a lot of unlucky things happen. I'm just kidding. A lot of great things happen to you. But we're going to see ourselves out. Paul, tell everyone where to find you.
Yes, you can find me at Alpha Boy with an I1.
And you can find me everywhere at I am Danny Royce. Go ahead and check out Friday 13th franchise. Also check out the new one as well that was made in 2009. And we are so excited because Crystal Lake is coming up, the series coming out soon, and we're excited to get into that. So thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Beyond Scared.